Hey there, I'm Jessica Canty, your life and career strategist. I have a passion for helping melanin millennial moms who want high achieving careers. Happy Valentine's Day! I hope you are taking care of yourself and those who love you. I hope you're able to pour into yourself today and hope you take a moment or two to take a couple deep breaths to make sure that you're finding a moment to love on you. And so I wanted to give you something loving, a rich and nourishing conversation. I love a good conversation. So I'm so excited to be able to talk to, oh, here's our guest speaker right now. I'm not gonna be a spoiler alert. Let me go back. Here we go. Excited again because a part of Valentine's Day is being around people who are loving, who are loving towards you, and who are loving towards the environment around us. So, hello, beautiful. How are you?
Hi, I'm well. How are you? Happy Valentine's Day.
Same to you. Same to you. I was just mentioning that a part of Valentine's Day is not just about balloons and teddy bears and flowers, which those are nice. Anybody want to send me some chocolates? I would gladly accept them. But it's also about being loving to ourselves and being around others who have the spirit of loving. And so then your face popped up on the screen. So I'm excited to be able to introduce our audience to you. So I'm going to pass the microphone so we can get into this wonderful conversation. Go ahead and introduce yourself to the people.
My name is Micaela Thomas. I am the author of Strip to My Truth, Unpacking the Emotional Baggage. I want to say happy Valentine's Day to everyone out there, ladies, gents, couples, moms.
I love it. I love it. So this title, whew, that's a whole
Yeah.
course in and of itself.
Yes.
So let's talk a little bit about how you got to this space of creating a book. Who were you before you became the author to write this book? What led you to this path?
Honestly, I was lost. There was no real definition of who I was. I couldn't figure it out. I was all over the place. I was, living in the ideology of who and what everyone else wanted me to be. I wasn't sure of my own direction. So I was going through situation after situation. I was going, through, dealing with person after person, whether it had been, you know, romantic partners, family members, friends, and it was all just kind of coming out to be the same outcome time after time. I would be hurt. I would make choices that didn't always favor my best interest. And then I would be kind of left with the same questions of what happened, why, how, why are we here again? So, it finally got to a point where I was homeless. I'm a mom of 6 children. And, I was working 2 jobs. I dropped the kids off at the babysitter to go to my night job, and I couldn't enter the building. So I sat outside in my vehicle and I cried.
Yeah.
And it got to the point where it was like, when it was enough. So I kind of trailblazed, at that point to figure out who I was. And that's where, I kept a journal all these years. And, every journal entry became more intense and more intense. And finally, it was like, okay, I had family members, I had my fiance telling me, you need to turn that into a book. There are people who go through the same situations as you. They can't find themselves. They're lost. They're trying to understand. So it just became one of those things where I turned it into a book. And throughout those situations, I was able to determine what happened to me.
Wow.
And I was able to not find that old me that I was looking for, but to discover a whole brand new me, the person I wanted to be, the mother I wanted to be, the friend I wanted to be. I stopped living in everyone else's imagination of who I should have been, and I started living as who I wanted to be, what my purpose was.
Amazing. Oh my goodness. Like I said, that sounds like it's a course in and of itself. And I'm quite sure a lot of people will relate to that story of trying to figure out who I am, thinking other people are responsible for telling me who I am, but still feeling like I'm left empty and not knowing, like, should I have been treated
Yeah.
better, or how should I be treated? How should I treat myself? And as a
Mm-hmm.
mom, your children are watching. So
Always.
congratulations to you
Thank
to
you.
say, you know what, I'm going to put this into a book and do the work.
Yes.
So what do you hope people are going to get from this book?
Honestly, the lot of us, we take direction from the examples of other people. We look up to influencers, we look up to history moguls, we look up to, you know, other people in general. So to look at someone's life from the outside in, I'd like for them to find their own perspective. You
Mm.
know, like I said, we all go through some of the same things, but ultimately our journeys and our outcomes are always different. So I definitely like for them to take a look and say, you know what? If she was able to overcome all of this,
Mm.
I know for certain that not only does my life have a purpose, but I'm also able to get through my own storm. I may have to figure out a different way, but that's okay.
Wow. That's amazing. I feel like that's so timely because, we live in a social media age where people think that, where we have to kind of copy and paste. Everybody's doing the latest challenge.
Yes.
Everybody's wearing the latest trend. And it's like, well,
Yes.
who am I in all of that? So for you to be able to take your pain and turning into a purpose and you put it
Yes.
on paper, now we're coming to this last P of profit. So where do you find yourself? Well, how do you connect from the conversation from paper to profit? What do you think? Where does your book fit into that conversation, that paper to profit conversation?
It's definitely one that I also had to think on, because it's one of those things where you're not just selling a book, you're not just making a profit, you're actually being vulnerable.
Yeah.
You're actually bearing your soul to people that do not know you. So it's definitely one of those things where you have to kind of, you know, think outside of the box while thinking outside of the box.
Yeah. And I applaud your bravery. I guess a lot of times people don't think about it. That I'm just buying a book, but you're actually buying somebody's story. And
Yes.
and so this
Yes.
was years in the making to be able to get to this point. So you said you were working two jobs before you did into this book. Did you have to overcome challenges to be able to write this book, or was it just did it just come naturally easy for you?
Absolutely. It's always hard looking at your own situations, especially the truth of it, because when you have to look at those situations, it takes you back to those moments. It takes you back to what happened. It takes you back and it puts you front and center at, basically right where you were.
Yeah.
And you have to deal with those same emotions, that same mindset all over again. So, what we usually block out and try to forget about just to be able to move forward, it's definitely one of those things. It's very challenging to have to go back and deal with those same emotions that you thought you dealt with the first time.
Mm.
So that was definitely, an obstacle to have to say, okay, in order to get the message across, I have to be able to go back and look at this situation, and I have to be able to deal with it, not just deal with it, but to actually heal from it, to actually look at it and say, maybe I wasn't healed from it the way I thought I was, or maybe, this is something that I actually can't just ignore and block out. Maybe this is something that I really actually have to deal with in order to be able to show and tell others, hey, listen, we may have blocked this out, but that doesn't necessarily mean that we've healed from it. We block things out and then we think that healing is perfection because we ignored it.
Mm.
But when you have to go back and look at that same situation all over again, deal with it, confront yourself about it, it becomes a whole different dance.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to kind of recalibrate your steps when you do it.
Mm.
So, it's not the same routine. It's not the same two-step. It's definitely not. You definitely have to change the tune of that song, and you have to really get down to the root of it and work it out.
So it sounds like it'll be an easy thing to do in terms of determining, okay, I need to be healed. If we break our arm or we burn our hand, we know very quickly there's a healing that needs to take place. I need to, get an ice pack, or I need to elevate my
Yes.
foot. What do you think is the hard for people to heal the hurt? Because it's a little bit different. It's a little bit different of a physical hurt when it's a mental health hurt or emotional hurt. Why do you think it's so hard for people to deal with that hurt?
Because it's the truth. A lot of us don't like, although we know the truth in our mind, saying it out loud and having to deal with it head on is something completely different. When you're facing the truth, especially a truth about yourself, it's easy to face the truth about someone else. It's easy to say you did this and this happened and, you know, the whole nine. But when you're facing a truth about yourself, that's something completely different, because we never want to fall short, especially when it comes to ourselves. We don't want to fall short when it comes to ourselves, let alone the outside world. So for someone else to point out your imperfections, you know, we can deny that. No, that's not me. No, I didn't do that. But when you have to tell yourself, okay, listen, you messed up. That's taking vulnerability to a whole different level. And a lot of us don't like to smell that rose, so to speak.
Mm-hmm. It doesn't have the sweetest smell.
Not at all. Not at all.
To deal with.
Very hard.
So, having said that, what does healing look like? I'm asking that question because oftentimes, especially on a day like today, even though it's a day filled with love, it's very easy for us to find themselves in a day of feeling hurt today.
Yes.
And so it's easy for us to indulge in a lot of chocolate or drink a couple of glasses of wine and think, well, this is healing. So for someone who's trying to take that step, what does healing even mean? What does that mean?
Healing is definitely the realization that it is not going to be pretty. No matter how much you want it to be, it's not going to be. It will be ugly. Healing is not perfection. Healing is relapsing. It's not going to always be a consistent journey, because you're going to get there and then you're going to stop because it hurts. A lot of people don't like to face that hurt. They don't want to go through that pain. They don't want to feel it. And when you go through healing, you feel it's like going through, you know, all of the steps of grief. You feel every emotion, everything from depression to sadness to anger to happiness to contentment to, you know, being hypocritical of yourself. So when we go through healing and we go through those phases, a lot of us tend to shut out what those emotions are. We don't want to face those. It's too much like right to have to deal with our own emotions. You know, dealing with the outside world and their emotions is very easy because we can hit a block button, we can put someone on the block call list, we can not answer the phone, but you can't block yourself. You can't hide from yourself. And, you know, healing it's a journey. It's definitely a journey, and you have to not only be mentally and emotionally prepared for that journey, but you also have to be physically prepared and spiritually prepared. A lot of people don't deal with that spiritual aspect because they don't feel like it fits. They don't feel like they're worthy of it. They don't feel like, you know, that they can do it. So a lot of times they have a harder fight than what they initially anticipated, because they're like, okay, well, you know, everybody's version of healing is different. However, the actual version of healing is so much more of a challenge. Sometimes it's like, where do I start?
So speaking of that, you're getting so much love on this side, and they're saying, "What a great interview!" Because you're giving so much knowledge, and as you're talking, I could just hear all that mental health expertise. You're hitting on all of the pillars of you talking about it, thinking about where does this come from? How does it show up in my life? What are the ways that I'm trying to avoid it? Because you said that word relapse, and I was like, absolutely.
Yeah.
It's easy to fall back into patterns if we don't build in the maintenance phase. Like, what is it going to look like when that temptation to go back to our former selves? How are we going to address that? So, how do you think? I think you said you have to prepare for it, and you have to actually do the work. How do you think this conference is going to help to prepare the people to do the work?
Because you have to go into it with the mindset that it can be done. Honestly, you have to go into the mindset that it's already done.
Come on now.
And, you know, when we look at things, when we have goals, we're looking at the finish line. We're not thinking about the actual race. So we're not preparing. We're not drinking our water. We're not taking our vitamins. We're not getting on the treadmill. We're just like, okay, we're going to do this. But you're already here at the end. You haven't even started yet. So it's kind of like, you have to manifest the healing that you want. It's not going to be perfect by any means. It's not going to be airlocked, sealed tight, because you're still going to go through situations. You're still going to go through, you know, circumstances with people, with yourself, with friends, with family, especially now during COVID. And, you know, you're going to have to be able to deal with other things while you're healing. You know, it's not one of those things where you can handle one task at a time. Life has a funny way of throwing curveballs at you when you're in the midst of your victory.
Mm.
And in order to even begin, you have to want it, and you have to need it for you, not for anyone else, but for you. Write it down, journal, whatever makes you happy, because even healing is a part of self-care. You can't constantly pour out and pour out and pour out and not pour back into yourself. And you have to have the expectation that no one else is going to do this work for you. It's going to be times where no one will even be by your side to do it with you. You have to be willing to invest in your healing.
I think that's the most powerful statement you've made in terms of summing everything up, to invest in your healing. Invest.
Mm-hmm.
You know, a lot of us, happy Valentine's Day, everyone is saying that, and thank you so much for the love. A lot of us can equate that, and we are able to relate to it for insurance. So insurance
Yes.
doesn't mean that we want something bad to happen. We just understand that life happens, like those curveballs you were talking about. None of us purchase health insurance, dental insurance, all the other types of insurance because we want an accident to happen, because we want a cavity, because, you know, because we want to have to go to the hospital. It's because in the event this happens, I have the system put in place. So I'm investing my time and energy and effort and money, putting it aside so that when that happens, I'm prepared. So like you said, it's putting that preparation in place. So if you are wanting to invest in your future, invest in that self-care healing portion. Again, none of us would get injured and think that, like let's just say you break your foot. You're not going to go buy some fancy shoes and put it on. No.
Right.
You know, you're going to go see a doctor, right?
Yes.
You can't keep dressing it up, putting the makeup on and posting the fancy Instagram pictures and think that on the inside it's going to be well. We think on the inside healed. So when I'm thinking about investment, I'm all for a good chocolate brownie, but let's invest in something that's going to actually expand our knowledge of self, expand, interact with other people. So what are some of the ways that people can interact with you? Because you said it's a book, but I'm hearing that there's so many more ways that you are supporting the community. What are some of the ways that the people who are listening can interact with your powerful superpowers?
Absolutely. So I am on Facebook, Stripped to My Truth, Unpacking the Emotional Baggage. I'm on Instagram, Stripped to My Truth, Twitter, Kai's Truth, and also my website. It is www.micaelathomas.com. Anyone can reach out to me any given time. Always available through email, always available through social media. I'll also be doing lives here soon, as well as a YouTube channel. I'm expanding. Unfortunately, hit our home. So I had to, my husband was ill. So I took some time off to take care of him. But yeah, definitely he's doing better now. A lot better. So, definitely getting back rolling. I've received so much love thus far. Not just from, people I don't even know who have reached out, but those who have purchased and even her. And I appreciate you guys. Love you guys so much. But I'm here.
Amazing. So what's in the works for you? I heard the YouTube channel, but I feel like a person with your passion, what's in your thought bubble is your next move? You wrote a book. I'm hearing some therapeutic services. What's the next move for you?
Next move, I'll definitely be doing a documentary. People get to read from the book, but it's something completely different when you get to see the visual. A lot of people relate to visuals. They relate to being able to actually see what people went through versus just reading. And, that's definitely one thing I like to share with people, just so that they can kind of get a background of, just me in general and what a lot of people go through, and, how, anyone can really help. It doesn't take much nowadays to really help someone. It's not always monetary. It's not always, what can I give? But honestly, a lot of people need help. They're just not sure how to voice that. They're not sure how to, ask for help. So they suffer in silence. I was one of those people, kind of always internalizing things and dealing with things until I found my voice. So, just to kind of help people find the voice that either they never had or that they lost.
Yeah.
So that's definitely my next step.
Absolutely. I love it. A documentary. Oh my goodness. Like you said, it actually helps to put reality to it.
Yes.
It actually makes the words off the page even more to see that there's a person who's been through it. I'm so grateful that you were transparent and shared your story, because a lot of times people will buy a ticket to a conference or buy a book, and they're hoping that, you know, it's the miracle, it's the miracle drug that it's going to solve all things. But I like that you said it's a part of the work. You know, a child
Yes.
doesn't learn how to walk in one day. We definitely have, it's a part of that work, but it's the major step towards your healing. It's a major step towards feeling different and showing up different. If you're finding you're having trouble sleeping, you're eating too much or not enough, if you're finding
Hmm.
that you feel like you're consistently not heard, there may be some work to be done. There may be some work that you need to work on. If you
Yes.
relate to any part of the conversation we've had today, then this book is for you. Then this conference is for you. Then you need to save your space for your success today. So if you see down below, I pinned it. Jarmel has put that in there for me. Thank you so much, Jarmel. That you can purchase your ticket. You can save your seat for success, whatever that may look like for you. It may look a little different from me or from the person who's sitting next to you, but you want to save your seat for success. So I'm curious, what is a final thought that you want someone to consider when they're thinking about coming to this conference, being able to interact with your superpowers? What do you like? What do you want them to know? What's that final thought you will hope that they would have in their mind?
You are in charge of your life. No
Mm.
matter your past, your present, what you feel may be your future, no matter the circumstance, any challenge that you are currently dealing with, you are in charge of your life. You're in charge of every aspect of it. What you currently feel or think about yourself is what you will manifest. So I encourage you to change the narrative. You don't have to be what society says you have to be. You don't have to be what others label you to be. It's up to you to erase and restart. You can start from any point in your life. It doesn't matter if you're 20, 30 years old. You can restart at any given moment, and you can make that change. I encourage you to not only empower others, but to empower yourself.
Mm.
Your power is so much stronger than what you believe it to be or what anyone else believes it to be.
Oh, I was doing a deep inhale and exhale. I was receiving every bit of it. Absolutely. I don't know about y'all, but receive every bit of that. Let that sit in. Let that be an affirmation you take throughout the day. But I know
Yes,
how I'm going to show up in the world. So what other people think of me is their business.
yes,
And they're going to
absolutely.
create whatever story they want to, whether it's the truth or not. I have to determine what the truth is for me. And
Yes,
a part of determining that truth is to be stripped down to it. Right?
absolutely.
It's to be able to remove
Absolutely.
those layers. So that's why I love that title. It's being stripped down to and removing the baggage. Because
Yes,
so much of that, you know, a lot of us are being able to think about the pandemic pounds or the quarantine 15, and we're thinking about the physical weight. But what
yes,
emotional weight are you carrying that may show up as physical weight?
yes,
So what are you doing to deal with the fact that we have had to interact in this world for a whole year differently? What are some truths that have surfaced for you because you've been at home with people you love, or because you've been at home and it's just you at home? What are some truths that you are trying your very best to avoid,
yes,
that you're trying to Netflix and chill away, that you're trying to Uber Eats away? What is
yes,
it that you're trying to avoid, but yet it still keeps coming up? I'm encouraging you all. Here are your homework assignments. He told you, write it down. Write it down. What are you thinking and feeling when you're purchasing these things? What are you thinking and feeling when you're doing these activities? Ask yourself if you want to think and feel a different way. Ask yourself if
yes.
you want to show up in the world a different way. That's the first question. That's the first homework assignment. Homework assignment number 2 is to buy the book. I don't know about you all, but I feel like this is like a book club type book, okay?
Yeah.
I want you to buy the book, choose the digital platform you want to be on, get a couple of girlfriends, and let's go through this book together, because it's supportive, you know, because it's going to be some confronting truths you're going to find on these pages, okay? It's going to be some
Yes.
things that say, oh, I think I said it just that way too. Oh, I didn't realize I
Yeah.
said it that way too. So it stings a little bit less when you got a support team around you. So
Yes.
if you're looking for that support team, you don't know how to create a support team, buy your ticket to the conference, because you're going to be in a supportive environment and you'll see what it looks like to be around support. So here's your homework assignments. Again, buy the book, make sure you buy a ticket for a friend and you to go to the conference and do the work. Don't put it off. Don't wait to. Sorry about that. Don't wait to spring because it'll be a little bit, warmer then, or I'll put it off. I'll wait a little. No, 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 no. Do the work today. And
Yes.
make sure that you invite a friend so they can do the work with you. And like hold on, I want to make sure I put the your website in here. Spell the website slowly because I'm going to write it right in the chat box.
Okay, it's www.micaela Thomas.com.
There it is, y'all. I'm putting it in the chat box. So it's easy. So now we don't have an excuse. The same phone you guys are checking on. I want you to go follow her social media page. You can interact with her even more with the awesome work that she's joined her talents with. And if you like what you heard, tell Swag Her Magazine, bring back that pretty face that's down there. We want to talk a little bit more about this book because this book, again, I feel like it could be a 5-week emotional boot camp. You can sell some support. Make sure you got the candles lit because this is going to be it's going to be some work. Any surgeon is going to do some work for you. Is always going to say it's going to be a recovery period. They're going to build in the maintenance and you're going to have it in these pages. So I want you to do the work because I want you to be well. And she wants you to be well as well.
Absolutely.
All right, so you got your homework assignments. You got the tools. All you have to do now is to show up and use them. All right, beautiful. It's been such a wonderful conversation. I wish you well. I can't wait to see this documentary. We're going to have to chit chat about that when it's finished. And enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you. You too.
Bye-bye.
Bye.